Today, I'm going to show you some new one-click Google AI agents that are absolutely wild and also completely free. So the way that you're going to set this up, I've got all the instructions inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, but essentially you're going to go to Visual Studio Code, make sure you download that. Then from here, you're going to go over to RuCode, right? So you just go to extensions, type in RuCode, and then once we've done that, we'll see the icon for RuCode. So this is the icon, and you can see it on the left-hand side over here. And from here, we can start building out the AI agents with Google. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to settings over here, and we can basically use these to, for example, automate almost very similar to Manus AI. You can automate like MCP servers, you can build apps, games, tools, landing pages, write blogs, etc. And it is really simple and easy to do. So let me guide you through the process. What you're going to do from here is inside your settings, configuration profile equals default. Then you're going to select the API provider as Google Gemini, and you're going to plug in your API key. Now, the API key is completely free. Let me show you how to get access to that. So if you want to use this for free, you can just go to aistudio.google.com. Then you're going to grab an API key, just create an API key over here, and you can plug it into the Gemini API key section. Good to go. All right. Then once you've done that, you can select which API you want to use. Now, these are all the different APIs from Google. Obviously, I believe if you use the later models or the thinking modes, that's going to rinse through more credits, which is going to slow down how much you can use this for free. If you want to use less credits, you can use like some of the old models, and the API allowance should be much bigger. All right. So we're going to select, for example, Gemini 2.0 Flash. And also you can see here I've auto-approved everything, auto-approved writing, operations, etc. We can hit save, we can hit done, boom shakalaka, we're good to go, all right? So as an example of this, what we're going to do inside here is we're going to select code, default, and we can start using MCP servers to start interacting with the web so that we can connect this AI agent to the internet to do different tasks for us as a one-click sort of engine, right? So if we say, install Brave Search MCP server. Here's my API key. All right. And you might be saying, are the MCP servers free? Right. So they actually are free. So the way that you're going to be doing this is if you go over to Brave Search is free for the first 2,000 queries, right? So when you sign up, you can install an MCP server that connects your AI agent inside RuCode and Visual Studio Code to get this set up, right? And it is free to do. All right, so you can get 2,000 free queries, and then you're just going to get the MCP servers set up like so. We'll get that running. Like you can see, it now says the Brave Search MCP server has been installed and configured with the provided API key. You can now use the Brave Search tool to perform searches. So that means essentially what you can do now is you can use the free API key from Google. You can use the Brave Search API key, which is free for 2,000 queries. And I don't think you're going to do more than 2,000 searches, honestly. And then from here, we can start using this AI agent, this one-click agent, to just go off and do stuff, right? So for example, if we say, okay, search Google and find me the latest data about Manus AI, all right? It's going to use a Brave Search MCP server, like you can see right here. And then it's just going to start going off and start doing its magic, all right? It's going to run the server, so it needs to run it. It's not going to work like first time, so sometimes this can mess up a little bit. Now it's started the server, and we can start using this, all right? So it doesn't, when you're using the MCP server, just know that you have to go back and forth a little bit with this when you're doing it, but that's okay. Like, it is going to take a little bit of time, all right? And then if we go over to MCP servers, let's just check this is working. We'll just retry the connection right there, and we can start using that, all right? We've got another one set up here, for example, for Perplexity, so let's try that. We're going to go over to here, and we're going to say, okay, use Perplexity MCP server, and search for information about Manus. And we just need to grab an API key from Perplexity. This is actually a paid API key, but even then, it's pretty cheap. But let's go over to settings. We'll grab an API key like so. Generate over here, copy that, plug it in over here, and this AI agent can just start going off and using Perplexity. We just need to wait for it to set up the MCP server. If you're not sure what an MCP server is, essentially what it does is it connects the AI inside RuCode to the tool that you're trying to use, right? And it doesn't need to interact directly with the interface. Now, there are ways to connect the AI inside RuCode directly to browser use, so it can just go off and use the internet directly. But if you want to use it indirectly, like this, all inside root code, then you can do that. So for example, we set up the Perplexity Ask MCP server, like you see right here. Then we've run a query through it. We're using the Google agent API key. So we've set up the API key here so we can start using the Google AI agent. Then it's gone off, searched about Manus using Perplexity, and you can see the task is completed, right? So it says, I've used the Perplexity MCP server, search for information about Manus. Manus is an advanced AI agent launched on March 6, 2025 by the Chinese company Monica AI. Claims to be the world's first general purpose AI agent with a high degree of autonomy and intelligence. So it's really easy to set these up. Doesn't take long at all. And you can see how you can get this done in one click, right? So now what we can actually do from here is we can take this to another level. So for example, if we've used the Brave Search or the MCP servers from Perplexity, then we can start running tasks inside here and then using those to generate our apps, right? So for example, if we say research how, and bear in mind, like these APIs from Google, they're not connected to the internet unless you use the MCP server. So that's the game-changing sort of way that you can use this. Google, or we'll say, research the latest update from Google, Gemma 3 via Perplexity, and then create a landing page that shows how this will change the world. Make it sleek and beautifully designed in HTML. And then you can actually use the AI as well to improve the prompt. So if you click over here, we can now click on this to improve the prompt. And you can see we've got that set up ready to go. And it just makes the prompt much, much better, right? So instead of like me being a lazy sort of human, not typing this out properly, it'll create a much nicer response like you see right here, including like research across different healthcare and that sort of thing, right? Different industries, landing page instructions. It's a lot more detailed as a prompt. Plus it understands, okay, this is what the AI needs to create something better. So we're going to head into, it's going to now use the MCP server from Perplexity. We're going to approve that. And if you're wondering, okay, are the MCP servers free? All right, so for example, Perplexity, this one is crazy cheap. Like I've rinsed this and it's cost me like 60 cents over the last month. If you're using, for example, an MCP server, let me find these for you right now, that doesn't require an API key, then it's also free. So for example, if we go over to Model Context Protocol, then we'll find the list of maintained servers. And then you can see all the different apps you can link this to. Now, if you're using an app that doesn't require a API key, then you can use them for free. So for example, if we're scrolling down here, like Airbnb doesn't require an API key to run the MCP server. So if you can find MCP servers without an API key, then you're good to go. Or what you can also do is you can just find different MCP servers where the API key is free for a certain amount of tokens, for example, like Brave Search. So let's go back right now. We've got that set up. Like you can see, we can now just run that command and it's done the research and created a page with the research about the AI, right? Now, that doesn't have a lot of information about it. So what I want to do now is go back to here and say, okay, using Perplexity, get a lot more information about stats, facts, figures, etc. Then use that to redesign the landing page. And then we'll say, make the landing page much sleeker and more modern in design. So now it's going to go back to Perplexity. You can use this iterative process to just create whatever you want, right? You can go from idea to design in just a few clicks. You can also click here and always allow, and then, you don't need to approve that request every single time. So it's got a lot more research back now. You can see all the benchmarks that it got back from Gemma 3, and it's updating that inside the code for the page. It's also, for example, like search YouTube and other places like that. It's editing the files that we've got. It's also figured out some more technical features. And then if we run that command, we can start getting a better output from here. Right? Now, you can also use this to build like apps and stuff and tools as well. So for example, if we go inside here, we'll start a new chat. And again, we're still using the Google Gemini API key, which is super cheap. And we're going to say, okay, build an SEO app for SEO cost calculators. And inside the settings here, I'm just going to change this to Flash 001, which is the latest version, the latest API from Google. And now we can use this to start building out like apps and tools and that sort of thing as well. So wait for that to load, hit save. Now it's editing the CSS, in the JS, so the JavaScript. And again, like I don't need to code to run this. And then we've got the miniature app ready to go right there, right? And it works perfectly. Nicely designed, really simple, really easy to use, and you've just created an SEO cost calculator in the space of like literally 2 seconds. It's crazy how easy this stuff is, right? What we could also do is we could say, okay, on the same page, write a blog about SEO training underneath, plus why it's important, and write it Alex Hormozy style. Now you see here how we've hit the quota on Google. That's because we're using one of the latest versions of the API. So if we switch the APIs now, something a bit older, like this, hit save, hit done, go back, cancel, resume task, we can go back to using the API key, right? So if you're running out of API credits or tokens, then you just switch the API key on the agent, and then from there we can redo the whole thing and just get going again, right? And so if you're ever struggling or if you're running out of tokens and that sort of thing, don't worry, or don't think, oh, this is a way of Google trying to get me to pay for this stuff. You can just easily get the AI to switch API keys in the settings of root code, change the API key over here, and then you're good to go, all right? And then if we go inside the new version, so this was the old version, and this is the new version, we've got the content right there for the page. And you can just go back and forth inside the design as well. The other cool thing here is, for example, if we go to a website that you want to replicate, for example, like this one, we can just take a screenshot. And because Google has Vision enabled, we can go back into Visual Studio Code, paste in that image that we created, then say clone this, and the AI agent can actually see the image that you created over here, and then use that to start generating better outputs. So you see here how it's like redesigning the code, and it's the user wants me to clone the design of the provided image. That's a significant change. Okay, here's what we need to do. And the cool thing about this as well is it's self-iterating, right? So it's prompting itself. So literally all we did was say clone this, and you can see how it goes back and forth in the chat with itself, goes off, recodes the project, edits the CSS, edits the JS, everything else, and then we're good to go. Now I've updated it, I've improved it. Here you go, here's a page, and we've just redone the whole page, right? The other cool thing as well is if you don't like the design, if you want a much better, for example, front end, then you can go back in here and you can switch to something like Anthropic, which is a paid API, but it will give you much better outputs on the UI, right? So if you want to get a much nicer UI, now we can go and use Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And we can switch over now, and we can say, for example, okay, redesign the UI so it looks much more modern, sleek, cool, and fun. All right, now so far the API cost has been 0, but now that we've switched to Claude 3.7 Sonnet as the API key, which you can get from Anthropic, the UI is going to be much nicer, the code is going to be much nicer. Obviously, it's going to cost a bit of money, but even then, it's going to be pretty cheap that you can build a whole website for. And you can see it's a bit slower as an API as well, right? So this tends to be slower than Google Flash when it's coding and going back and forth with it. But it's also going to write better content, like you can see. And now it's updating the file automatically. The cool thing about this as well is it's coding locally, right? So if you ever want to come back to the files, you've got them all saved locally, and you can just reopen Visual Studio Code, go inside root code, you're good to go on this. Now if we hit save, it's going to recode the CSS. All right, so you can see it's cost us 18 cents to redo the HTML on this. So you can basically get Google to do all the fundamentals for free. And then if you do want to add something a bit more special to the front end, then you can switch to Claude and then just pay for the API key after that. Now, this is not limited to websites or Google searches or using Perplexity or Airbnb MCP servers. Whilst that's loading, I'll tell you a little bit about it. So you can code, for example, games tools, content writers, etc. It's very similar to what Manus can do, but instead of, for example, waiting for the invitation code or waiting for the daily limit usage, you can use something like this. It's kind of like a free alternative to Manus, right? So Manus AI is a really powerful agent, but most people don't have access. Not everyone has got an invitation code, And also it's got daily limits, right? And it'll probably be a paid tool when it comes out. Whereas, for example, you can use something like the Google API key that I've shown you today with root code, and all of it's free. Visual Studio Code is free, the root code is free, the API key from Google is free, and then the MCP server is free if you use one without an API key or you use one within the limits, for example, like Brave Search. So let's wait for that to load. Some people are asking, like, do you find that Claude on it is slower than Sonnet? I've actually found the opposite. Like, for example, you can see how much longer this task has taken with Claude on it than it has with Google, right? Google's just so much faster for getting the output, whereas this is taking absolutely ages to redo the whole thing, right? And I know it's got to recode and improve the design, but still, it shouldn't take that long. So it tends to take longer. From what I've heard, 3.5 Sonnet and 3.7 Sonnet, both from Anthropic. I think I saw someone comment on YouTube about that. I haven't checked it out myself. You never know with the YouTube comments, though. All right, so now it's updating the JS as well. And also, you might be wondering, okay, can you use like OpenRouter as well? So you can actually plug in OpenRouter as well directly into root code. I'll show you that in a second once this is finished. So once this is finished editing, I can show you some examples of like other free API keys you can use so that if you don't want to use Google, then you don't have to. So let's see what we got here. We'll run the command, we'll open this up, and this is totally different. Let me show you how different this is, all right? So you can see now you've got the front end from Claude right here, and it's just, it looks totally different to what we had before, all right? So here was the output from Google. It did the research, did like most of the research there, but it's just nowhere near as good as like the style from 3.7 Sonnet, right? This is like a website from 10 years ago. This is like a website that has some really cool images here, free SEO strategy section in the top right. It looks really modern. The links actually work. The tool looks a lot more modern, and you're good to go on that, right? So that's the difference between these tools. And I think that Claude 3.7 Sonnet, bear in mind, let's see how much that cost us. That costs us 50 cents just to redo the front end. Whereas a normal freelancer, you're paying like anywhere between $100 to $1,000 to retouch the front end design. And you can see the difference here. It's just 10 times better with one single click. So really powerful. And then, yeah, like I was saying, if you want to use other free AI agents inside root code, select OpenRouter, and then we can switch between them. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, so we need to switch down here. And if you just type in free, so if we delete that, type in free here, we can switch between all the different models. So for example, you got that DeepSeek, R1 Distilled. You do have other versions of Google as well. What else we got here? We have Hugging Face, Meta Llama. Mistral could be really good. This is a new model that was outperforming Gemma recently, so Mistral 3.1 could be a good option. Let's test it out and see if that's good. Qwen I really like as well. Qwen is a great model for coding out. So let's have a look what we got here. Let's try, for example, Mistral 3.1 free, 24B. All right, we'll click on that. We'll hit save. We'll hit done. It's off that. We'll open a new task. And we'll say, okay, create a self-playing snake game. And if you're wondering, okay, how do you get the OpenRouter API key? So you just go to openrouter.ai. Then from here, you're going to log in, go to keys, and then inside the key section, just create a key here. And you can use that to start coding stuff out. So that's actually working as well, like you can see. And this is more like a thinking model, right? So you see here, I was like, I need to create a self-playing snake game, etc. It's a really small model that's just come out from Mistral. So Mistral 3.1. I actually have a video on YouTube if you want to see all the benchmarks and how it performs. But it was actually outperforming in a lot of ways Gemma 3, which is the latest model from Google. So pretty cool stuff. And you might be looking at that website as well before and thinking, where is it? Where's that website gone? That website that you saw before anyway, the front end that was done, like it is better than most developers can do, let's be honest. And like how long would it take to learn how to code something like that? Like it's absolutely crazy, right? So like for example, if we go back to this, we can just review and finder. Here you go. And then we'll open this up on a new Chrome tab, plug that in. Yeah, we've got the snake game ready to go. But where is I don't want the snake game. Oh, it's disappeared. I wanted to show you the cost calculator again, but you saw it before earlier anyway. Like the front end was so nice. Like it is a genuine threat to front end developers and that sort of thing. Plus it doesn't take years to learn how to code, and it's just super smart already. All right. Now, some people are asking, like, what other models actually allow computer use? So if we go in here and we go to OpenRouter, you can see that this doesn't support images and it doesn't support computer use. I don't know many other models that actually allow computer use. You can, for example, switch to, I think ChatGPT might be able to do it. I'm not even sure. As far as I know, the only one that I've really tested for computer use is Claude. So computer use, for anyone watching, if you're confused and you're wondering, okay, what AI can use computer use? So it looks like OpenAI have an option, and then also Claude. But the only one that I've really tested out is Claude. ChatGPT, they have ChatGPT operator, but honestly, it's not as good. You can actually get better options inside Convergence AI, and Convergence AI is free. All right. Let's see what else we've got here. You've also got Human Relay, which is another option, but I'll come on to that later. So that's basically it. Like, this AI agent is absolutely insane. You can basically automate anything with it. It can create very similar things to Manus. So it's a great free alternative to Manus. And the API keys are free. The MCP servers I've shown you how to do for free. Root Code is free. Visual Studio Code is free as well. If you want to learn how to set all of this up properly, I have a SOP inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you want to learn exactly how to set this stuff up, right? So if you want all the links, all the step-by-step tutorials, etc., feel free to get that inside the link in the description to the AI Profit Boardroom. This is a community basically focused on making more money and saving time and automating with AI, right? And if you go to the SOP section over here, we've got all these SOPs on a Manus AI course. You have a DeepSeek course in there. This gets updated pretty much every single day. Comes with my best MCP agents and MCP agent tutorials, as well as an SOP for root code and computer use setup as well. And also, if you have any questions, if you get stuck, etc., you can post inside the community and get help right there, right? So you can see, for example, it's a really active community, lots of people asking questions in there, and they get answers really quickly. So feel free to get that. And also, this comes with weekly Q&As with us. So if you have any questions, you can just jump on the weekly Q&As and ask us any questions that you have. Additionally, if you want a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments and description. And we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot. On this free SEO domination plan, you will get a custom tailored link building plan to generate more leads, sales, and profits from your website. Plus, you'll be able to answer any questions you have, and you learn how to 10x SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here.